Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Wood Carving with Alec Lacasse. I think that's what I'm calling this. And today we're carving a barn owl. These are probably one of the coolest birds known to man, at least I think so, because they're incredibly beautiful and agile birds. We'll get more into that in just a bit, but what I'm carving here is, hilariously enough, just the bark of a tree. And it's not just any tree, it's the Plains cottonwood tree. So these trees tend to be 100 years old plus to get bark of this size. It's a very large fissured tree that has, again, this massive bark that kind of falls off once the tree dies. I'm screwing it now to a fixture board. This is the technique that I've used to carve for many years. It's adopted from Ron Adamson, who I believe was the inventor of this setup. I'm not sure, but it's a fantastic easel of sorts for wood carving. So now I'm using a number of different types of gouges. This is a number 3 gouge. It's 1.5 inches wide. And when you hear a carver refer to a gouge by its number, they're almost always referring to the curve or the sweep of the gouge. So in this case, this number 3 gouge is a fairly flat one. And the higher the number goes, the more curved the chisel. And in just a moment, you'll see some of the more curved chisels. And those are number 9s. In this case, a number 11 here to define the nose and, or rather, the beak and the eyes of this barn owl. You can see I'm starting to create the surrounding feathers around the eye and define the beak, as well as, in this case, outline the major shapes. So I've kind of exaggerated the size of the head in this owl. I do like the effect that it gave, although it's definitely caricaturized. So you can see that I slowly shrink the head as I progress through this project to make it a little bit more realistic. But at this point, using the V tool will define these details. You can see I'm using a lot of these kind of V tools, and this tool I'm forgetting the name of, but it's basically a square-shaped chisel along with a skew to kind of define the shapes of the eyes. And later I'll actually have to rework these eyes because they're a little bit too straight. The barn owl tends to have a bit more of a cat eye, meaning the eyes are more upturned than they are kind of straight across like I carved them in here. So that's kind of the way most of the carvings I do work, is that I end up going deeper to fix a problem, and in the end it ends up making the piece a lot better. So I kind of keep everything loose and adjust as I need to. But the big thing here is not to add too much detail too soon. Anyway, back to how neat barn owls are. Barn owls, they tend to weigh less than 1 pound. They're they have incredibly soft feathers. This is because they need to be silent. They do most of their hunting at night and therefore cannot make a lot of noise. They use their amazing sense of hearing from their asymmetrical ears to detect little sounds, mice, voles, whatever they're trying to get after, small mammals, which, by the way, they have to have 4 of these little mammals every night. They eat a lot. Oh boy. Okay, so that's a big problem. Have to glue that piece back on. I mean, this happens at least once every wood carving. Something that I don't want to flake off ends up flaking off. But luckily, I've got some Mitrapel, which is an accelerant, and some high-quality super glue to hold it in place. Now, normally I might use a little wood glue on the base to make sure that that glue joint lasts longer. But apparently I was just so excited to get going on this, I needed to use the super glue. Now again, this kind of theme is repeated throughout the project of getting the major shapes with the bigger, flatter gouges, and then slowly working towards the more curved chisels, the smaller, more U-shaped and V-shaped chisels that will get us the detail that we're after in these talons. So I ended up posting a short video about this owl previously, and somebody commented on it saying, "Why is there only 1 foot?" And the reality was I wanted to make my life easier by hiding the other foot, but in a smart aleck response, typical to me, I told him that he was in a serious car accident and he lost his foot due to amputation. Now, I'm using the V-tool again to define the feathers of his wing. I actually left these a little bit more stylized than I might normally because I wanted the focus of the attention to be on the head of the owl. I absolutely love this sort of kind of, I don't know how to describe it, the dish-shaped head that the barn owl has, as opposed to other types of owls such as the spotted owl or the bar owl, which is really easy to confuse with the barn because it's like one letter off. But yeah, so I like the way this turned out. It's a super fun little project. All in all, I probably have 6 or 7 hours into this, which is a little bit longer than some of the other owls I've done. It was definitely a challenge, but you can see it turned out pretty nicely, and I'm happy with it. So using a water-based finish, you actually get a much lighter finish than you would with an oil. And this is a dead flat matte that I'm applying. I really like the way that that looks, and it pulls out the grain without being too shiny or fake looking, because the big enemy of carving is that fake plastic color, or the finish rather. Anyway guys, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed this project, and I'll see you guys in the next one.